Greetings, Ranger fans. Jake here, and welcome back to another edition of Database Rangers Power Reviews, where we take a look at our classic episodes of Database Rangers Power Reviews as we count down the 100 weeks to the 100th and final episode of the series. So thank you to those of you who are joining us tonight. I know it's not our usual night for a live stream. Usually we do these Friday night, but unfortunately I got hit with something where I just suddenly did not feel well and was in a lot of pain last night and feeling much better today. I think it was some residual effects of a stomach bug that I think I may have caught off RJ this week, but I'm feeling much better today. Knock on wood that it stays that way. Welcome Nightwing Josh. Welcome to anyone else joining us tonight. I hope that you've all been able to check out the little Jake Says Hi announcement video that I released yesterday. That was just to sort of finally clear up some questions with regards to video release schedules, since I know we've had a lot of disruptions across the course of the last couple months. It's been very frustrating on my end. I'm sure it's been frustrating for those of you who have been eager to see these videos, and I was very disappointed that I had to then immediately do yet another delay last night, unfortunately. I'm sorry to hear that you're sick too. It seems like everyone's getting sick lately. But I will be releasing the next rapid run-through and deeper look for Power Rangers Dino Fury tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. I'm planning on wrapping up the series next Saturday with the finale at 8:30 a.m. next Saturday, followed by the Christmas special at 9 a.m. So knocking those both out for bright and early Christmas Day, because that's what I'm doing to myself. But then I'll be all wrapped up with Dino Fury for this year, and I can really double down and make sure that we are good to go for the following Friday with the release of episode 95 of Power Reviews on December 31st, with 5 episodes left to go for next year. Welcome, Vandalia. Good to see you. Oh, you're not. Oh, you're checking this out between cuts, and you're also on NyQuil. Everybody's been sick lately. It's been a rough. Obviously, you know, we have the pandemic, but it feels like apart from that, just a lot of sickness going around between stomach bugs, colds, all that nasty stuff. Welcome, Scott. Good to see you. So yeah, trying to finish up the year strong and get myself into a good spot for doing that final leg of the series next year. I was going to be doing some filming today that unfortunately had to be rescheduled for 96, so I am still pushing to get stuff done for 96, even as I'm still wrapping up 95, just because I need to make sure that I can film with my actors while they're available. It was one of the reasons I really didn't want to push 95 this late, but we are where we are right now, and there's no turning back now. So let's dive on into things, and as always, let us not forget our 3 equally non-controversial phrases. So, number 1, say it with me, chat, Black Lives Matter. Number 2, say it with me, chat, fascism is bad. And number 3, say it with me, chat, superheroes are fun. So let's check things out with our favorite superhero, Database Ranger, as he returns to the real world in episode 57 of Database Rangers Power Reviews, our review of the second episode of Power Rangers Super Megaforce, Earth Fights Back.
Previously on Power Review.
These episode titles have gotten quite long between the name Database Rangers Power Reviews and Power Rangers Super Megaforce. But yeah, there's just at this point in the series, there's just become so much. There's so many different story mechanics that are all in play at this point in the series now. After year one, by the end of year one, it just became a very dense story with a lot of elements to it. I'm still tremendously proud that we managed to pull off that high five between two MJs. That was pretty wacky.
And now, Database Rangers Power Review.
Hope you're having fun with the Pokemon Go Community Day.
Greetings, Ranger fans, and welcome back. Oh.
And there we go. This is also just a nice little clean split screen there. And
Well, that's true. Where'd I go?
Actually,
and nobody knows where he's been.
You could tell us.
You can also see, oh, and yes, all the flashbacks to the Winter Trilogy, all that craziness.
I didn't know where to go back. How long was I gone?
He says that now, but obviously we've spent
It's hard to tell. The temporal distortions still haven't stopped.
we've spent a lot of the more recent episodes of year 3 with being right back where he was.
Wow. I was gone for a while.
Yeah, the spring saga definitely, the spring season definitely got delayed a bit.
Well, I've got to see it. I've got to do a review.
But don't worry, we've already taken care of it.
What?
We already reviewed it. Me and Guy. It was actually pretty fun.
No, it wasn't.
You guys reviewed an episode without me? Wow, I shouldn't have stood up that fast.
It's so fun just restoring the dynamic between these four characters.
Rangers get their new powers. Why did they turn to old Rangers now? What happened to Rock and Robo Knight? And did they have anything to say about them all being pirates?
Well, they skipped it, came from Dosei, never explained, nobody knows, and not even addressed in the slightest.
Sounds about right. So, why did you guys review it without me?
We needed to take
There's so many little. I'm just really enjoying seeing the interplay between all the four characters again.
R2 Squeaky.
Oh, cool. I like the name.
We're not close.
So, across the
And of course, Database can see the camera even though the audience can't.
Portal thing that I sealed up?
We believe so.
Well, that explains
And
a lot.
I really do very much like the warmer tones that we're seeing with the different camera.
The ratings were
The color balance is just very different now from what it was during year 1 and during the Winter Trilogy. I was very much sort of transitioning from the old camera to new camera here, getting a feel for the new look of the show, and I was switching over to a different version of Premiere around this point too, because the files were a lot bigger, and the old version of Premiere I was using was no longer working at this stage. Welcome, Athena. Good to see you.
10 minutes would be great.
And I feel very strong about how this split screen worked with Guy, Mayo, and Kay. And one thing that I have to say is fantastic about working with Dave is that he is rock solid reliable in ways that
Wow, it
you-
feels good to be back. I know it's been a long time, but I think
when
I'm
I
ready
say,
to
okay, you need to stay exactly in that spot, he will stay there. And he is so good to work with when I'm doing the split screens.
So let's get the old ball rolling again.
When there's, because he's often flanked by the two MJ characters. He's very frequently flanked by Mayo and Dr. K when in shots where I have all of them. And he works as just such a good dividing line. And as you could probably tell, there were some versions of that shot where he was overlapping with Mayo and some where he was overlapping with Dr. K. And so we did a bunch of different takes of that little split screen sequence to make sure that I could just have him move cleanly behind Mayo, even though most of it has him behind Dr. K. And just so long as you have that little bit of separation, it can come out pretty clean, especially with that low angle without having to worry about the shadows. It definitely ended up coming across in such a way where it's easy to forget that there were only two actors in that shot.
Anywho, did I miss any major changes in the opening credits?
Just a whole lot of pirates.
Also, wow, I totally forgot that Mayo had no idea that DB was technopathic, because that just hasn't happened yet. And of course, we had to have DB acknowledge the Tiny Tile Smash.
Tiniest tiny smash ever. I thought you would like it. In the school computer lab.
Because she did say that she was thinking of him when she saw it in the previous
No,
episode.
I mean the Ranger database.
But I am Database Ranger.
No, the Power Ranger database.
Well, I am also a Power Ranger.
I mean a computer database of Power Rangers knowledge.
Sort of that, too.
No, I mean...
This
Never mind.
this was
No one's Pazillo thinks...
an Abbott and Costello style bit that I just could not avoid doing. I had to. You can't have something referred to as a as a Ranger database without me having to play into that.
Hardcore gamer himself. Just not quite hardcore enough to know the difference between random Go-Kaiser clips and the newest game in his favorite trilogy.
After that close call, Noah hops over
Yeah,
to the other.
Mr. Burley is
exactly
odd.
what sort of job Not Ernie has managed to rope Jake into.
So naturally, the very next thing he does is drag him over to talk to the girls.
I don't see what he's so
This is
worried
very
about.
unnecessary.
Girls love a guy who's not afraid to make a fool of himself.
Really?
Oh yeah. You should have met the last goofball I dated.
Really?
And
Anyway, after Jake popped his cherry
I-
with the legendary swords, they all started to wonder what happened to Troy, who apparently
And-
was
and,
involved since the end of last episode.
yeah, that little nod there. You should have met the last guy I dated. Is that first little bit of foreshadowing I think that we did of what we'll eventually see of her backstory in episode 87. I wanted to try and start seeding in I wanted to start seeding in the backstories of the supporting cast around this point. Year 2 was very much an interesting transition from the original story of the first half of the series to setting up the big conflict that I knew I was going to have to be building up for year 3. And Mayo's character in particular, which we'll be talking about more next week when she gets her focus episode, was one that I really felt like I had to build up during year 2. Because Mayo was probably the least developed of the core 4 during the course of year 1, since she was, she was the subject of kidnapping during the Summer Saga, and then she was pretty much absent until the end of the fall season. I didn't want her to fall into just this sort of damsel in distress trope. I wanted her to become a more fleshed out, more realized character in her own right, and not just, the love interest character who happens to look identical to the best friend. So teasing her eventual backstory reveals here was one of the first steps towards accomplishing that. And then later I eventually came up with with her developments with the magical tablet after the Summer Saga. Oh, MJ loved the game Unpacking. Oh. And, of course, we have to have Dr. K acknowledging this. There was no way I could keep Dr. K out of this review.
Well, yeah, they've already unlocked DRPR.
And this is the extent, that little bit was basically the extent of all that
Yes, they are
Mayo
the
knows
sorts of
about
projects
Dr.
that
K's
fly Power
connection with
Rangers, and
RPM.
I know that we just
They
had
hadn't
the
had that
powers with
They
us
didn't
bench,
have that
but-
conversation.
Oh,
Um,
RPM is set in an alternate universe for the rest of the series. I thought you knew that.
I have this.
And here we're setting up some of the reveals that'll come up during the Summer Saga as well, where we establish the multiple timelines of the Power Rangers universe, as I interpret them through Power Reviews. Welcome, Tina.
Wait, when was he captured? Escape from what? Anyway, still faced with a ton of baddies, Troy finally decides
Some of
to
the
take the Power
dialogue
Rangers
in
and
Super
an hour
Megaforce is
58
just so
minutes
weird.
ago, and activates his Super Mega Mode to take them down and blast apart the control
Like,
tower
Super
with only a
Megaforce
second to spare.
was really just such a fun
It's disturbing.
fun season to review, because it was just so bonkers. It made no sense. It was just very ridiculous. Megaforce worked very well as a blank slate for the reviews, but Super Megaforce was just so bizarre, and there was so much material for me to make fun of.
So the Rangers
Um,
summon their Super Mega Rusty Nesting Doll Zords and
and,
combine them to form the legendary Megazord. Take 'em on
It
and
is one of the
build
things
up
that,
all-
unfortunately, I don't get to do as much with Year 3, because during Year 3, I'm usually commenting on episodes I actually really enjoy and take much more seriously, so I don't have that same poking fun and being surprised by the wackiness of various developments.
One is still cool.
Wow,
Um,
these Super Mega Hyperspace compartments will really come in handy.
It's
The not quite Delta
very,
Runner pops out and drives around, shooting
a very
up
different
buffer before
experience.
popping back in to reform the SPD Legendary Megazord. Now with giant dual-wielding
the Sentai nods, the use of the legendary powers
How do you know?
for Sentai exclusive suits was just very disorienting at the time. But at this point, we just our expectations had been lowered sufficiently, I think, to not be too thrown off by
They
it.
consolidate back into the sky ship, fly out to the moon, transform back into the legendary
I still
Megazord,
just genuinely have no idea
what
what the deal is with this sequence. Like, I know that it was in Gokaiger. I know that, you know, it was a cool sequence, but like, it was just such a weird choice to have in the second episode.
Wiped out all the enemy forces.
And I loved and it's great because that was our genuine reaction to seeing that that moment in that episode. It's like, wait,
Really?
what just happened?
Looks like you pretty much destroyed all their forces.
What just happened?
Meanwhile, Troy
Did they
is
just
Ryan's
win?
it up in the Crow.
What? How?
Still
Did they
worried
win
about Robo Knight,
the
but
the
confident
season?
they'll meet again, as the sky ship glides into the sunrise.
Just so weird.
Later, back at the mall, everyone is gathered together for the grand reopening, and
'Cause,
spontaneously
like,
all start counting down.
The show was really in a rush to get back to the
So while Shy
to get
Labs
back
staff
to the,
never
um,
to take
to the
advantage of
status
this
quo
marketing
again.
opportunity, the others are
They wanted to
inspired by this
create
show
these
of
like
human
super high
solidarity.
stakes in the
Knowing
first
that not only
episode,
have the legendary
and then by the
Megazord,
end of the second episode, they wanted to be back to status quo,
that's the end of our
and
episode. So,
this got it back to status quo easily by completely undermining
I can honestly
the,
say this felt like a Power Rangers
the
episode,
whole
which is actually saying
uh,
something, considering
threat
the way the last
of
few years have gone.
the
We actually had subplots
of the
here.
Armada.
Plural. Subplots. Everyone is given something to do here. Troy
That
copes with the disappearance of Robo Knight. Emma
it's
continues to develop her friendship
shocking
with
how,
Flash as it follows
like,
the Froyo girl. Noah gets to play
how
with the
excited
Froyo
I was
Flash
to
power
actually see
protect.
subplots
Gina
exist,
spearheads the rebuilding
because
brawl,
there's
and
just been
Jake feels
so
the embarrassment of
little
being Mr.
for
Brain.
the stories
And although
during
these
this
plotlines are deeply
during the
complex,
early
focused
Neo
on,
Saban era.
they all do achieve a
Um,
level of emotional resolution
Like
and tie into the broader themes of rebuilding and
like
recovering
I'm
as
willing to give the show
individuals,
credit
as
in many
Marvel
regards.
community.
It's actually kind of impressive.
Plus, we
There's
get
just
some surprisingly
even
good
even
character
during
development
seasons like this
outside
when
of
things are
the
really rough,
Burley,
um,
Secret Love of Gaming, and
there's
Master
always
Bizarre
something that
is
you can
pretty
draw
much the
from.
point
There's
and
always
boss
something
of the
good
Power
you can
Rangers
find,
universe.
even
Well,
when the show
except for the
is
original
being
point
a
and boss.
total mess.
So I guess you really like this one, huh?
Well, it's a surprisingly solid
like,
that nonsensical
I
character.
you know,
Let's
I've
do a
I offer
town
plenty of
and
critiques of
place.
Dino Fury,
Yeah, like that.
and it's not because it's not been a good season.
Yeah, that's it.
You know, it's obviously been better put together than Super Megaforce was. I don't think that's
Yeah, let's not talk about
really
that one.
too controversial to say. But it's just, you know, when an episode is very good, a lot of times I will try, or when a season is very good, I'll often really get into the weeds of where it could be better. And when a season is a lot rougher, I'm usually looking for the little bits and gems of what does make it work and what I feel like they should be focusing more on.
It's criticized a bit for its pacing issues, a stupid little
I'm a little unusual in terms of my critical analysis, in that I don't really give it a whole idea. I don't really go into, is the episode good, is the episode bad per se. I usually treat it like a case of constructive criticism. It's like, this is what you did well, this is what you did poorly, this is how effectively this worked, this is how this could have worked better. Like, if the creators of the show were ever watching these reviews, and I know in some cases some of them were, specifically with the live reactions, I wanted it to be one of those things where they wouldn't feel like I was just taking pot shots or being, or just being a fanboy or just you know, hating on things. I wanted to present something of value that both fans could appreciate and creators could appreciate and see as something that could be used to improve upon. And yeah, we have to acknowledge that.
Guy's moving thing. Mayo picked up the weed. It must have sampled her bio.
That was my theory.
So,
And we get to finally acknowledge what happened way back at episode 32.
Trust me, there's nothing regretful about it. Look, I know that you need to run tests or whatever, but there is something I need to do first, okay?
Well, what do we know about the year the Alien Saga is supposed to take place since Earth got rewound? This is still 1995, but with younger Rangers.
Hi guys. It's so good to see you again. Did you enjoy your business trip?
And then this little bit with the more Potsners, just working to ingratiate themselves further into Database's life now that he's back.
We look forward to seeing you again. Bye, Database.
And it's really just a little attempt to kind of, you know, seed them into the story again, because they will have such a major role to play in the final events of year 2.
Yeah. But I was there.
And Vandalia, with regards to Alien Rangers, I generally interpret it as being, as being more of a reset of everyone's physical status and memories, rather than a reset of the actual of the actual timeline of the planet. Oop! I just hit restart by accident. There we go. All right, but yeah, I knew that I needed that final moment there, right at the end. I was really looking forward to having this last little bit, and I think it's a beautiful little shot of, you know, Database seeing the outside world again. I'm glad you enjoy it too, Nightwing Josh. Because, you know, there's this whole theme that really started in RPM with Dr. K of, I want to go outside, and being able to go outside or not being able to go outside. You know, there's nothing for you out there. You can't go outside. There's, you know, being locked away in your home, which, you know, has a whole new resonance in our modern era, where many of us still are to an extent trapped in our homes, and having that, and when it is something where, you know, it's not that you are physically trapped, but that you have more of a mental block, finding that bravery to step out into the world and see it again, once it is there to be seen. And I just kind of wanted to capture that in that moment, that idea of you really are back. The world does exist. You can be a part of it again. Because that was something that was a big arc for him across the course of year one, was learning to go outside of his comfort zone. And I wanted to kick off year two with that idea of, no, this is where you belong, and getting in his head about that, and then him having that moment, even if it is that little small moment of reaffirmation that, no, this is, you do belong out in the world. And he now has this cast of characters that are there for him. He has his friends by his side now. He has, Guy is now firmly in his corner after they had been through all this back and forth across the course of year one. And, you know, I'm looking forward to getting these characters, you know, back together again. It was a great thing to be able to do after having them to be separated for so long. And it makes me feel bad a little bit for how many times I keep breaking these characters apart just so that they can get back together again. But yeah, this was sort of, in many ways, the end of the beginning of year two, in certain regards, because it was getting us to the point where we could continue with the story again. And now it's just, we've gotten to that level of, okay, what do we do next? Because I really wasn't sure for a bit there. I really genuinely was not certain, when I was getting near the end of year one, exactly what year two was going to look like. I knew I knew I wanted the Winter Trilogy. I knew that I intended for the Morpotzners to be major antagonists, and I knew what year three was going to be in terms of premise and how the series was going to end. But filling in, like, the beginning and the end of year two and finding what the middle of it was going to be was a bit of a challenge. And I want to kind of acknowledge that here. That it is a moment of uncertainty. This was before I, you know, got into my head that, okay, we got to bring in the next big threat for the end of the spring season. Reestablish what's going on with Alphabet Soup. To an extent, it does feel like the spring season is retreading ground, but it's really just sort of trying to reestablish what the new status quo is. And so that's why we have to, you know, get Database back, you know, check in with Mayo and further develop that character, reestablish Alphabet Soup as a threat, and then figure out, okay, where are we going from here? Okay, Alphabet Soup has a new plan, we're going to resolve the plan, and we're just sort of doing all that within the new context of Database as the Phantom Ranger, having all these doubts after having visited the Landlord's Dimension in the Winter Trilogy, and moving into a point where they could all move forward. I knew that I wanted to have the Evil DB arc for the fall. The Summer Saga really evolved out of this sort of mindset of what happens next. What can I do with these characters? I've worked really hard to get Database to this point. It can't just be the Database show. The other characters need to still have value. They need to still be fully fleshed out in their own right. So the Summer Saga kind of evolved from me having this question at the end of, the development of 57, where I'm just like, okay, I know this is what needs to happen in 56. I know what needs to happen in 57. What needs to happen from there? And I'm like, I need to give these characters more, the supporting cast more. I need to create an arc for Guy. I need to create an arc for Mayo. And I need to flesh out this world a little bit more. And it just kind of went from there. Year 2 was definitely another interesting experiment after the whirlwind experiment of year 1. Every aspect of this series has been a different kind of experiment. Year 3 has really been an experiment in, can I make basically a show that is like a Power Rangers show, with a set, with effects and fight scenes as a regular part of the show, with these sort of sci-fi debates and conflicts, creating a space opera. And that's one of the reasons that year 3 has been such a challenge, is that it is a different kind of show now. And this was me continuing to take those steps to get there. So, yeah, 57 was very much a transition episode for the series and emotionally for Database. I forgot this episode was this also marked when episodes were getting a little longer. This was almost 20 minutes, which was unusual at that time. I was leaning more towards those 15-minute episodes. Now everything's over 20 minutes, it feels like. But back then, that was still pretty new. So, there we have it. Episode 57. Very much the new status quo taking shape. So, thank you all again for joining me on a bit of an off night. I hope that this was not too disruptive to your schedules, and I hope that everyone is going to have a happy holiday weekend next weekend. It's hard to believe that that we're nearing the end of the year now. There's only less than 2 weeks left in 2021, and that is terrifying right now because I have so much work to do in these last 13 days of the year. With grade, I got to get grades in. I've got to, finish up my holiday shopping. Maybe get started on some of it. And finish up 95. I've got a lot ahead of me. I'm gonna try and take better care of myself along the way, so I don't burn out again like I have so many times already over the last few months. But thank you all again for joining me for all of this. I hope that these live streams can continue to be of interest to you. I hope that I'm giving you some insight into what has gone into this very, very long experimental journey through the world of Power Rangers as viewed through my peculiar psyche. I do not know where this year has gone. I do not know where the last 9 years have gone. Speaking of, once again, if you haven't checked out the 9-year anniversary special from back in October, please, by all means, check it out. I think it's one of my better videos. And I realize not too many people have actually seen it because it is a little bit outside of what I normally do on this channel. Congratulations on your podcast reaching 300 episodes. Good job, Vandalia. And this will actually technically be RJ's second Christmas because they were born just a little bit before then. But thank you very much. And, yeah, but we do have their first birthday coming up very soon. Oh my goodness, where has he gone? My kid is almost 1. That's ridiculous. Yeah. So, yes. Also, just keep spreading the word of the channel to whoever you can, however you can, social media, all that good stuff. We're getting so close to 4,000 subscribers. I can't wait to see it. I would still love to hit the goal of hitting 5K by the end of the series. I don't know what'll happen after that point because I don't really know what the channel will be after the show ends. But that would be a nice little 2021 like Christmas miracle if we could get to 4K. We are just over 100 subscribers away from it. We are really close, but I know that 100 subscribers takes a little while to accumulate. So I feel like I've been in the process of wrapping things up for the last 5 minutes or so. So let's actually do that and close things out with our 3 remaining not equally non-controversial phrases. So, number 1, say it with me, chat. Love is love. Number 2, say it with me, chat. Trans rights are human rights. And number 3, say it with me, chat. Robots are cool. Although people in The Matrix might disagree. I know that's coming out next week. So many movies coming out lately. And I am not going to the theater for any of them because it is a pandemic. So thank you all again. Don't forget, tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. will be the release of the next Deeper Look and Rapid Run Through. We'll be back for Christmas Eve for our next live stream. And then we'll be releasing the last 2, the Deeper Look and Rapid Run Through of the last 2 episodes of Dino Fury on Christmas Day. So, a lot to look forward to over the next week, but until next time, farewell, Ranger fans, and let the power protect you.